Hello, fellow town employees. I'm Leslie Snell, Deputy Director of Planning and Land Use Services.
Probably west side of Fairgrounds Road. It was R10. There was nothing out there.
Some of that activity on the property across the street, which has warehouses and other commercial activities, is 30.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this matter? Let me go down the line for the board then, and maybe I'll start at this end. Dave, you want to comment?
No, I think this is a little different than the last one, is that it's a block of 8. But I think that if they came in with their proposal to limit the ground cover, maybe make sure houses would be connected to water and sewer, it would be a better plan, I think.
Thanks. Stephen?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I will admit I haven't studied up on this one, so I don't want to comment too much, but I am concerned about the ground coverage increase, because if you look at 8 lots at 20,000 minimum square foot lots, 10% ground coverage gives you 2,000 square foot, gives you a total of 16,000 square feet of ground coverage. If these were divided up to 16 lots by basically going to the 10,000 square foot lot size, at 30% coverage, you're at 3,000 square foot per lot. Times 16 lots, you're at a dramatically increased ground coverage versus what is allowed there now. Is that correct, Andrew?
Yes.
Generally?
Yes.
So I'm not as concerned, and frankly, I wasn't as concerned with the last article in so much as, God, if we could come up with a way where, we could do splitsies, and every lot on the island could be turned into, you could subdivide it into 2, subject to a year-round covenant on one of the lots. I know there's issues with conforming lots and non-conforming lots, and it would be a nightmare. So we don't have that magic wand. I'm not against that. We need to come up with creative solutions, but I am concerned about this, just simply at this point with respect to the total increase in the ground coverage. It would be almost an increase of 300%.
Thank you. Fritz?
Yes, I realize with the area, it's a different area. It certainly has commercial across the street. But again, based just on the principle of the matter, I'm opposed to individual zoning. If this is something that should be rezoned and is appropriate to rezone, I think the planning board ought to be considering it and doing it on their own. So I would be opposed.
Thank you. John?
I can honestly say I'm still gaining a little bit of information on this. At first, the concessions to
And others, or housing,
Perpetuity.
can be in perpetuity.
So,
Yes, please.
sorry, Madam Chair. So we've already spoken to all of the 8 owners of the properties, and so everyone is willing not to go beyond 20,000 square feet. They approved the 20% ground cover, so if there's a change in that, we'd like to know. And the only one that would want to change, I think, is the 40,000 square foot, which is Mrs. Ruckard's, 12 Pulpus Road, and that's 40,000 square feet. So we've already spoken to all of them, and they're in favor of that reduction.
I just want to be sure so you know what is being said here. I'm glad they spoke to you, and that's good homework for you.
No, I know you need a
them.
letter, but I'm just saying if we're going to go back
But
to.
the thing that Andrew just said that's important, and I think maybe among the more difficult parts of this, is in order to have it be enforceable by somebody that's not the town,
Right.
that's not as among the property owners, you're gonna need to find a conservation entity or somebody that would be the beneficiary of the rights to be able to enforce that if somebody failed to comply down the line.
Okay.
Yeah, we have other places. You have some entities that will hold these kinds of things.
But is that what you're asking now? Just so we're clear.
And can I just ask Andrew?
Please, go right ahead. No, go right ahead.
One more question. Andrew, is there a height, there's no height limit at the end, right?
It's all a part of there's
30.
right, there's an overlay district for VR that applies in Connecticut, but not here.
Because I think that's one thing that maybe no one realizes, well, we do, but VR is
limited to how, what's the height?
25 feet.
25, yeah, I knew it was.
No, that's only the overlay in Mattocket, not
Yeah,
there.
there's-
It's not here.
No, because those new barns
It
are
is?
30 feet.
Okay,
30,
no?
30.
Okay.
It's only Mattocket.
Okay,
I'm
it's
sorry,
only in Mattocket.
I
time
know,
out, time
crosstalk,
out.
All right.
I know.
I'd like for anything technical, I know you know a great deal, but I'd like Andrew
No, that's
to be the
important.
speaker on that. Would you confirm or clarify?
Right, so it's 30 feet, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's important, because I, see, know that, it's just Connecticut. Okay, so then I would, continue, restate my motion that we continue this article and for further, information from the applicant with agreement with all the property owners for no subdivision outside of the two that are huge, that can now, without the zoning change. And, reduction in ground cover,
To
15, I would say. I mean, there's no chance of it passing in its current form, so we have to find something.
That's fine, we just want to know if we have to go back to the.
Time
I
out.
mean, that's my, I mean, I just,
Folks, I'm gonna just, we have a long night, we need to,
so I just feel that we have to reduce a little bit further.
so, could whoever's keeping track of this, you wanna read back what the gist of this motion is, just so we're all on the same page?
I have that motions to continue for further information from the applicant with an agreement with all of the property owners, less the larger lots, that they will not subdivide, also have a reduction of ground cover not to exceed 15%.
And that there be, I understood, and that there be somebody who would hold
Yeah.
the rights to
And
enforce.
conservation.
It's not necessarily conservation. I'll explain it to you.
Okay, so I heard that motion. Before I ask for a second, you had a question. Was it about what the motion is, or?
No, it's not, well, it's just about the quote, agreement of the neighbors. And I want to make sure that I understand, well, that everybody understands exactly what you're saying, Andrew. So when would this agreement have to be signed, sealed, delivered, in place?
It would have to be signed, sealed, delivered by the time the town meeting votes on the article, because that's the effective date.
But it doesn't take effect unless it passes.
Yes, right.
Okay.
I just want to make sure it wasn't
Okay,
something
so now
that we're
we have a
agreeing
motion.
subject to.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Dave seconds. Is there further discussion? Anybody?
This is for, yeah.
So this is,
Yeah.
that would be continued until the 10th?
10th?
That means it'll be at the end of the regular agenda, so bring your snacks for out in the hall or whatever. And that we've got a couple of others that are likely to be long that night too, so I'm sorry.
okay.
But
Part of the game.
Do you feel like you, I know Linda, you do, but you'll be sure everybody understands what is being asked, because otherwise it seems cruel and unusual to make you come back.
No, that's why I wanted to make sure that you guys were all on the same
Okay,
page
we
and
got
we
it.
could go.
All right, are
Follow
we
me
ready?
back.
Did you have a question? No, I have no question. Okay, well,
He will tomorrow.
okay. All right, so the motion was made by Nat, Dave seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay, thank you for being
Welcome,
back with us. and
I'm
it
still
looks like
here.
We'll see you again. Okay. Next up, number 5, zoning map amendment to place 3 properties on Driscoll Way currently located in the limited use general 3, Lug 3 district in the limited use general 1, Lug 1 district. And this is,
I have hard copies if you need them.
thank you, our colleagues, the Driscolls, thank you folks for coming back as well.
Thank you.
Do you need one more or is that,
I've got it electronically,
Okay.
so.
Good. We
do
have
you need
one
another
more.
one?
Yeah.
Everybody, okay.
Okay. I feel like I'm on rewind.
Well, what day is it?
I have no idea.
So,
This one took quite a while to compile because I went through every piece of property out there. Again, this was more extensive. I hope everybody got a chance to read this and look at the stats. I know we're gonna get some of the same pushback from some of the other people, like Nantucket Land Council and whatever Act
Well,
Nantucket is.
I'm gonna ask for like, kind of even keelness here.
Yep.
And not calling out people by name. I think everybody's keeping your, eyes on the prize, so.
What I found interesting after I answered the questions was that a minority of lots, not including the new subdivision that's closest to Milestone Road, I don't know much about that one. I don't know if it's major residential or what it is down there. But once you get past that one, which is right on Milestone Road, a majority of the lots between there, all the way to the water, all the way to the pond, down Winoma, which is right on the bluff, a majority of them do not meet zoning. This was another area that was sort of in the boondocks. I never went out there until I was 16 years old to the commissary with my dad, because he was a Marine.
When you say don't meet zoning, you mean are.
Under 3 acres,
Okay.
way under 3 acres, some are as small as 5,000. A large percentage of them are in the ABC lots. A minority on Longwood, Green Hollow, and White Tail, I think is the other one, meet the 2 acre zoning, the 3 acre zoning. That's it. Every other lot, Parsons has a few that meet, but I think there's less than a dozen spread out among all the other ones that do not meet zoning. Several of them down as you get towards Bosworth and down onto Winoma, none of them meet it. Zippo. These are old subdivisions. A lot of them were made up of 2,500 square foot lots. Of them were combined in odd shapes, some L shapes, some square, some rectangle shapes. Over time, a lot of it was taken for taxes and subdivided and sold out before I think the zoning board had any clue. But nobody lived out there. This property was bought when nobody wanted to be there, and was bought for a song, basically. And it was you and Tom Curley, is that the other one? Were the only people out there in the Navy base back in the 70s. And that remained the same for a long time. So again, when Wayne Holmes and Mooney and Campbell, attorneys, set up zoning maps back in their 1971 for ratification in 1972, we'll just throw it into 3 acres because who wants to live out there? There are a lot of those who wants to live out there happening. But then when land got so expensive, these lots were cheap like mine was in the Badlands. So they bought them for dirt, basically, and Nat knows that phrase. And they never changed the overlying zoning. And as I mentioned before, I was involved with the Tom Nevers area plan. It was a very good plan. Dual put a lot of work into it, but during those meetings, we did talk about trying to get zoning to match the underlying development. Now, when you look at the 40A at the state, and even our own bylaw, zoning is supposed to reflect the pattern of development that it's sitting on top of. This is one of the largest areas on Nantucket, if not the largest area on Nantucket, where the overlying zoning does not match at all the pattern of development, which I understand is the master plan, and that's probably going to come up again when we start producing better zoning. But right now, we have a situation of gross unfairness to the property owner because he's got the largest single land holding in Tom Nevers. He's got over 9 acres in the family still. To the northwest, he's got lots on Driscoll Way, most of them I think front on Arlington for their access, that are 5,000 to 10,000 square feet all up and down there. Then you go over to the other side of Arlington, Berkeley, Clarendon, Dartmouth, Exeter. Some of the other ABC lots up there, they are all 5 to 10,000 square foot lots. Directly to the northeast, our 1 acre lots would be the same size as this. Across the street are 1 acre lots, and then they start to get smaller as you go down Lyons and Sandpiper and keep going. And then you go farther to the south, and none of them meet zoning except for one large lot in the middle, but I believe that's a green space of some sort. And then he's got conservation to the southeast and southwest. So what he's asking to do is to go down to 1 acre, like his immediate abutters to the north, east, and across the street. And certainly 4 times to 8 times the size of the lots that are directly across the street from him. It's not spot zoning because there's so much land involved in this situation. But there's an awful lot. If you didn't get a chance to read it, at the end of this, I'd like it to continue to the next one, depending on what the comments are. So you can get a chance to drive out there and you can get a chance to look at the stats that I provided for you, like 53 lots on Lyons Lane, 22,000 and 95,000, still don't meet zoning. 5 lots on Heath, 30,000 and below. 26 to 30 lots on Chuck Hollowell below the minimum required. Well, several, for some odd reason, it's 65,000 when they subdivided that subdivision over there. 28 lots on Flintlock are sub-minimum, just over an acre in size, a lot of 45 to 46. 9 lots on Parsons, 5 along Tom Nevers Road that are 1 acre. 17 sub-minimum lots on on Wood Hollow Road. Then you get to a cluster subdivision, an old cluster subdivision on the old airplane, the Tom Nevers airplane, I don't even know what they call it, Rice Landing, which are all 20,000. Then you get a bunch that are going down towards the Navy base, which are 40,000. So it's an unusual area, and even the ones that are purported to be 120,000 square feet, those small group there, up against Milestone Road, not in the middle, on Longwood, and those roads are coming out on the GIS maps as 119,790. Now, 3-acre zoning requires 120,000 square feet minimum, so I don't know what happened. They were all around that size, so it could be a problem with the assessors. I don't know. I didn't pull their as-built out of the office, which I can do between now and the next one. But even if that's the case, none of them conform, even though they're billed out as conforming. So it's kind of an unfair situation, which you may take up in the master plan, but it's sort of an unfair situation when only 53 lots are wagging the tail of the other over 250 lots that do not meet zoning. So it's kind of a intriguing situation. But again, they never changed the AUG 3, they just left it there instead of changing the zoning as the pattern of development changed. So, and then there's a lot of supporting information on the last 2 pages. So
Thank you for doing so much homework, that's very helpful.
it gave me a headache at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Would you gentlemen like to speak?
Yes, please. Also, we have a concept subdivision of what it would look like with 9 lots in there.
This is what Longwood looks like, the same type of cul-de-sac type of situation at various points.
Did you want to say?
You can pass that
Okay.
around if you need to.
Let's start up here.
Okay. Oh, was this in the packet for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just had a hard copy.
Sometimes people don't print it out, so I just wanted it to be available for anybody who.
Would anybody
wanted
like to
look
see
at
this
it
closer?
here. Okay.
What's the average size of those, Linda? I don't need to see it then.
40,000.
40, right?
40 plus. They're all over 40,000. The smallest one is 40,005, but most of them, then there's 8 and varying degrees over 40. You'd have to create 2 new roads, which would pull some of it out for the cul-de-sac. Yeah.
Mr. Driscoll, if you want to speak, just so they can get it on the tape, could you give your name and address?
Yes, my name is James Driscoll. I live at 6 Driscoll Way. The property under discussion, Driscoll Way, is in Tom Nevers. We're on the sunset side of Tom Nevers Road, across from Lyons Lane. I came to the island in 1966. I purchased the land in October of '77 and subdivided in December of 1977. I was the first house on the right for 8 years. It was Tom Curley and me, and we were the only houses on the whole straightaway at Tom Nevers Road until you hit the bend at Old Tom Nevers Road. I built our first house in 1979 and started second house in '97 and finally finished it 20 years later in 2017, most of the work being done by me and my family. When I built in 1979, we were the first house on the right. We have the largest chunk of land within a 1 mile diameter of me, except for the 2,000 acres of conservation abutting us on two sides, behind us. This includes all of the ABC streets, both sides of Tom Nevers Road, Lyons Lane, there's all 1 acre lots going down Tom Nevers Road and Lyons Lane, everywhere around us. There's 8,000, 10,000, 6,000 square foot lots the town let them build on. When I bought out there in 1977, on the map, there were 5 buildable lots on my side of Arlington Street. Currently, there are 11 houses there, and 20 if you include both sides of Arlington Street. That's within 200 feet of our driveway. There are 20 houses. There were approximately 40 buildable lots between us and Gloucester, which is about a half a mile away, when we bought in 1977. The town of Nantucket had taken all the rest of these 20 by 100 lots for back taxes. Now there are 109 houses in between me and Gloucester. In the early 1980s, a realty company came in and paid all the back taxes on these 20 by 100 lots. The town never challenged these land titles, as the company then sold out the lots as 8,000, 10,000, and then 6,000 square foot lots with septic systems being allowed in the middle of the paper road. I believe the town never challenged this situation because they had found a place for more affordable housing that they wanted and desperately needed. We are seeking 40,000 square foot lots to more conform to the 1 mile diameter neighborhood that surrounds me. I'm trying to blend in with the neighborhood that's really out there, not the one that's under Title Lug 3. I have 3 children and had hoped to keep this land in the family, but the island is so expensive now. Life happens and here we are. We are land rich, economically struggling, and physically worn out. I'm still hoping that the family can continue to live here another 42 years, as I have already. For the past 5 years, I've been trying to sell part or all of the land through realtors, but only 3 people have come to look, because we are an anomaly. 3-acre lots in the middle of all of these tiny lots. I'm just looking for some fairness, please.
Hi, my name is Michael Driscoll of 2 Driscoll Way. Excuse me. I just want to address something that has come up in earlier articles this evening. Excuse me again. I understand the board's hesitance to promulgate a system where individual landowners use the citizens article petitions to address their own personal whims on an individual basis. Obviously, that's not in accordance with the master plan. That's a concern that is entirely relevant in this situation. As has been mentioned earlier, these are the only actual Lug 3 lots in the area. Right next to us are 20 lots on the street. Right next to us, 20 lots, 8,000, 10,000, some of them are 6,000 square feet. We're asking, in some instances, to still be 7 times larger than our immediate neighbors. Again, according to the master plan, the board has historically been in favor of transition zoning. So to our, I believe it's the northwest, there are these, in some instances, 6,000 square foot lots, and then to the corresponding southeast, there are 1-acre lots. Logic and precedent would dictate that we should be somewhere between 6 and 40,000 square feet. We are still asking, in the instance of all the proposed lots, to still be the largest lots in the area. We're not even asking to be brought into conformity. So this is not asking for an exception at all. This proposal is asking for existing exceptions to be eliminated and for us to be brought into parity with the surrounding neighborhood. And I just want to further highlight, Linda touched on this very well, but just to quantify things specifically, within a 1/2 mile radius of us, 57% of the lots are 10,000 square feet or less, as they've actually been instantiated over time and built. And 89% of the lots are 40,000 square feet or less, so we would still be larger than 90% of the neighborhood. Thank you.
There should be one more.
Was there one more? I'm sorry.
Nothing like mathematics.
Yep, numbers will make your brain freeze. Can't read his writing.
Yeah.
Are you set, or did you have something else to add?
Oh, he missed the one in the middle. 50% of these lots are 10,000 square feet or less. 84% are 20,000 square feet or less. It's in your thing that you have. And 89% are 40,000 or less. So this would not create an out of context situation.
Okay.
And they're still bound by septic and well among itself. And it's because if you get 40,000 square feet, you're still bound by 10,000 square feet roughly per lot, which is 4 bedrooms per lot. With an IA system, in some situations, you can get a 5th bedroom out of it. But you're still bound by that, and you're bound by ground cover is 7% as opposed to 3% of 120,000 square feet. It's 7% of an acre, and you still got to have the separation from primary, second.
Involved in the development of the area plan, and I passed out the summary from at the last meeting. I won't repeat that other than just to emphasize that the residents at the time, and I believe today, do not want development or changes in zoning in this area. I think we were 87% on the information that I gave you last time in terms of the total number of people that responded that they did not want to see the zoning changed. Many of us bought out there because it was rural, it was lug 3, and that's what we would like to see maintained.
Thank you. Questions from anybody? Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Yes. Hi, Bert.
Hi. Bert Johnson, 28 Longwood Drive, president of the Property Owners Association on the other side of Tom Nevers Road. As I mentioned the other day, we aren't in favor of down zoning. We all would be in favor of up zoning, but not down zoning. We bought out in a rural area.
Sometimes people get down and up confused. You don't
I
want,
caused that 2 years ago.
but you mean you don't want it to be more
Smaller
dense?
lots.
Yes. I don't mean you're confused, I just mean the world
No.
at large.
I'll blame
What
it
was
on-
you up to?
I'll blame it.
MMD?
There's nothing left. Go to.
And as the land council or conservation people just mentioned, there's no town water out there, there's no town sewer. We do have electricity.
Cable finally.
And cable.
And a bike path.
Sometimes we have cable.
No more rabbit ears.
But I just wanted to correct Linda, on a lot of streets on the east side of Tom Nevers Road, it is 120,000 square feet, with the exception of Lyons Lane, which was an early street and early development out there, and that's mostly the 1 acre lots or less. But Longwood, Whitetail, Green Hollow, Crestwood.
I forgot about Crestwood.
120,000 square, and Whitetail Circle are all 120,000 square feet, and Chuck Hollow is the same. Some of them are even bigger down there because it's lowland. So we would be opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody with questions? Campbell?
I just have a question because other people.
To Bert?
To Linda.
Oh, okay.
I'm just wondering, if you or have thought of going to lug 2 instead of lug 1, trying to, get a similar result with,
Younger Mr. Driscoll, you can come back, I think we.
Now, we didn't talk about LUG 2 because we're bordered by 1 acre lots.
whole map looks more like
There's 1 acre across the
Well,
street, 1 acre there, 1 acre there.
I'm quite aware of that. I read your pamphlet, which I really appreciate, and looking at this, I'm just trying to see if there's some place in the middle that people can meet on where that is. It's, like I said, it's just a thought. It's a rural zoning, and it still, I believe, has 80,000 square feet, so you'd still be able to get 6+ subdivisions out of it, but it would help reduce the impact on resources. I know people say, well, there's no town sewer, but you know, the end result is all of these septic systems are all contributing to the exact same area. You know, it's not like, and honestly, we all know this area is developing. The closer you get to the water, the more homes have gone in, and none of them have that either. And they're even closer to the water, so really their filter is, the septic is honestly.
It sounds to me like you don't really want to second it. How about if?
I'd like to give it a take no action.
Yeah, but there's
You have to
there's
act
a
on the
motion
motion.
on the
Okay,
floor, so
okay.
is there a second to Fritz's motion? I would, but I'm in the chair, so I can't, so, that motion fails then. Nat, do you have a motion?
A motion to take no action on this article.
I'll second that.
Nat moved, John seconded to take no action on this article. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
You'll probably see us at town meeting.
It's gonna be a long day.
It's gonna be a long day. That's when you bring your snacks and your food and your sleeping bag and
When you're knitting.
extra batteries.
Well, and now there's button voting or whatever.
around.
Yeah, that's gonna be an
Yes.
interesting,
For it, then they could speak to that
Right.
then,
Right.
which would probably be a stronger result than if we tried to make any decision
I
on
think
it at
that's
all,
right. I
right?
think
Is that
think
what
it just is gonna cloud things, any other way we would do it, so. If somebody would make that motion.
Take no action.
Okay, with this comment that is so well crafted and Fritz.
No, I
Yes.
second that motion.
Fritz seconds the motion.
That was, oh, yeah, I see
Yep,
what it says.
yep.
Is that gonna go on the warrant?
That'll be
All
in
that
the
right,
That'll be
comment,
the comment.
in the
We-
comments.
The board will get a chance to review comments, probably at the
Okay.
10th. We'll have some of those, so yes.
All right, no, that's important.
Nat's
That's
motion
part of
still
what
on the
we
floor?
go through all this trouble. I'll second that. Oh, Fritz, did you say? You second.
Yes,
Not that I have anything to say, but was this opened up to the public
It's,
for discussion?
it is. but-
I'm sorry, Paul, you're right.
Oh,
If
go ahead.
there's somebody who wants to speak, please come
No, I
on.
know, I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, please, yes. Good to see you again.
I'm Mary Ann Jenkinson, 1 Weatherly Place currently, and I'm sort of got in the crosshairs of all of this. I am purchasing 1 Bayberry. I put my
Thank you for your good letter.
So I did put my offer in with the understanding that it was R20, and then after some time came to find out that there was an article presented by you guys that it was R40. So I'm I know there's history and I know the whole development, and I don't want to get into bad blood with my neighbors, but quite honestly, I bought the property under the assumption of R20.
Listen, so did they in 1970 something.
Yeah.
It's not like this got changed yesterday. It was, you see what I mean?
Yeah, no,
You
I-
go both ways with that.
Exactly. But when
I'm on the early ferry.
Hey,
I-
don't forget Wednesday
I've
night,
gone
the
in
select board
through
meeting.
Sunday.
Oh, we're doing a presentation.
Are they out there now?
Just meeting.
No, I'll go,
Okay.
no, I'll go over,
Thank you.
I'll go over there now.
I don't think it.
Okay.
You decided whether you're gonna take me up on it.